So look, Brother James, we're going to get into the next thing I want to talk about. Brothers and sisters, look, something that we heard about, and I think I'll put the link in the chat where you should be able to see this event for yourself. But the National Newspaper Publishers Association, okay, which is the black press, basically it's the black newspapers, their group, their organization, their association, if you will. Each year they have a midwinter conference. So they had a midwinter conference this year, and they had it in Florida. And they had a session, a national town hall meeting on African American and Jewish relations. So we're going to get into that, but I want to say the first thing I did, brothers and sisters, was invite Dr. Ben Chavis, who is the executive director of the association, to come on and talk to us about what it was about. And I invited Bobby Henry, who is the chairman or chairperson of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, which represents the interests of over 200 black newspapers right now. Unfortunately, I didn't hear from either one of them. But brothers and sisters, you know, it was interesting to me, not only the subject matter, but who was there. So one of the first people I saw, when I looked at this, and I just put it in the chat, you can see it on live, you can see it on YouTube, and you can judge for yourself, right? Was Debbie Wasserman Schultz, congressperson, Democrat, Jewish woman, and she was talking about black-Jewish relations. You know, Brother James, I was really stunned when I listened to the whole program, and I listened to it for probably, at least three different times, right? And then they had a representative, Matt Sevillia, from the Anti-Defamation League. I'm just going to say this, brothers and sisters, just as a matter of fact. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, nor the ADL are friends to black people. Why do you say that, Brother Naba'a? Well, Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been a leading attacker of Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, as well as other black leaders. You remember the Women's March in 2019? You remember all that heat that our sister Tamika Mallory came under? Debbie Wasserman Schultz was, if not the main instigator, she's in the top three. And she came out and she attacked Tamika Mallory. Now, this sister had been going around the country. You know, Breonna Taylor, you remember her in Louisville? All these different cases where black people getting shot and killed by police. Tamika Mallory and her group were going around the country, you know, just trying to fight for justice for our people. But because Tamika Mallory in 2018, now listen to this, brothers and sisters. In 2018, Tamika Mallory went to Savior's Day, our annual convention in Chicago, and she sat and watched the minister speak. And so then Tamika Mallory was attacked because they demanded that she denounce the minister. And they just kept pressuring her, even though she was one of the driving forces behind the not the Million Women's March, but the Women's March, right? The ADL, we know what we should know by now. The Nation of Islam has a major lawsuit against these people for their lies, their slander, their misinformation, and you can get that at NOI.org. You can get the full court documents. You go to finalcall.com, you can get the news reports. And I'm going to close on that with this. Attacking the minister is like attacking the point person, right? If you can attack the point person and take him out, then that means you can now get the others. So they attack him, and they use these lies against him, right? 40 years, you can't find one incident where we have touched a Jewish person, denied a Jewish person their rights, committed crimes against them, called for them to be boycotted. We haven't done any of that. As a matter of fact, as Muslims, if we were to see someone defacing a synagogue, it is our duty as Muslims to stop them. Did you know that?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Because in our holy book, it says that we are to respect all houses where God's name is remembered. So there was no discussion of the minister during this town hall, which I thought was, you can't have a discussion without talking about Minister Farrakhan. And this whole nostalgia about the 60s and the 70s. But I got a book I want you to check out. I got a book I want you to check out. It happens to be by a Jewish gentleman. Okay? But the title of the book is this, okay? The title of the book, and the title of the book is Black Power, Jewish Politics, Reinventing the Alliance in the 1960s, right? The author of this book is Mark Dollinger, who happens to be Caucasian and Jewish. He says that the narrative that we have been taught about the civil rights movement is literally untrue. And in his book, he goes into why it's untrue. And he asks different questions like if Jews and Jewish organizations came out during the civil rights movement because they recognized the common struggle, he said that the civil rights movement should have happened a decade earlier. He said because by the 1950s, Jews had largely been had made progress in American society. He said, so what you had happening, one of the things he says, is that you had Jewish people now exercising their power and defining it as Jewish power, Jewish political power, which is something they had not done heretofore. So check that out, for brothers and sisters. This is very, very serious to me. It's very serious. Because if you look, people like Tamika Mallory, Kyrie Irving, Congressman Danny Davis, I mean, you name them. The brother that does America's Got Talent, can't think of his name. But all Whoopi Goldberg has been attacked. Dave Chappelle has been attacked. Every time they've been attacked, it is because they have expressed a view. They have never said they hate Jewish people. They have never said they want to hurt Jewish people. They just have a different view on a subject, and most often that subject is Israel, right? And because they have a different view, they're shut down, they're called all these ugly names, and then they're hurt by this. So keep an eye on the Nation of Islam lawsuit. Brother James, you want to get in?
Yeah, what I would just add to that, brother, is I agree. Well, for me, when I listened to it, number one, I was very disappointed because as a journalist, I mean, I'm a journalist. I've been to the NNPA meetings before. It's they're all publishers. They all have reporters. Many of them have reporters. And this is a news event. This is a news event. For me, it's like, as you mentioned, with the ADL being there and the minister being like public enemy number one to them, how does that question not come up? And if the ADL is willing to come to a table, well, there have been many years that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan has offered, let's have a conversation, not behind doors, but in the public, where we can present our scholars, our case, and they can try to defend their case. But that has not been. This was an opportunity if it was something that they wanted to happen, where that offer could have been made to do that. Obviously, it would have been rejected, we know. But to me, I was very disappointed in terms of having a meeting, because otherwise, what is it for? Yes, there's some things going on where there have been attacks on synagogues, etc. But as you mentioned, there have been attacks on mosques. But if we see anybody defacing a place where God's name is mentioned, as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan taught us and demands of us, we are to go and defend that facility. And so, but the Honorable Minister Farrakhan will answer a lot of questions on Savior's Day. We will come out with clarity, not only on this, but on the other issues that are pertinent today, like the lawsuit, like the whole issue of the war in Gaza and what's to come out of that. So, that's my thing. It's like all eyes should be on Detroit. Why they held that meeting, I don't know. I would definitely say that there are going to be some receipts that they're going to be called to answer for, because when the minister speaks in Detroit, it's going to be earth-shattering. I can guarantee you that, because every time he speaks, it's earth-shattering. And so those who attend meetings like that, they may have had a cordial meeting on whatever date they held that, but coming out of that after February 25th, there's going to be a call made and said, hey, we delivered to some goods for you. Here's the receipt. Now we need something in return. And I just pray to Allah that our brothers and sisters who know that they know the minister is their friend. They know the minister is not anti-Semitic. They know that many of them who have been attacked, he has defended. And they know he will die to defend them. So when they're called to account, pray Allah that they have the courage to say, well, we invited you to a table, but we're not, we're independent. We're not just because you don't like a person. We love our brother. So, I don't know why they did it, Brother Naba'a, but I know it's more to it than just a Black Jewish let's feel good meeting that was held. Yeah, they planned. They planned.
They absolutely planned.
As Allah plans, and He is the best of planners. So inshallah, they will have the fortitude to withstand the assault when it comes.
Yeah, because Brother James, again, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said as I hope we will as well.
Yeah, because this is the thing, brothers and sisters. Look, so the people that were part of this were the NNPA, National Newspaper Publishers Association President and CEO, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis, who also happened to be the National Director for the Myanmar March, by the way. And the other participants included U.S. Representative Deborah Wasserman Schultz, the Jewish woman we talked about, and then Sheila Cheflius-McCormick, Black sister of a congressperson out of Florida, and the ADL Senior Vice President for National Affairs, Max Sevillia, participated, and a professor emeritus of the Department of Psychology at Florida International University, Dr. Marvin Dunn, participated. Now, the thing that hit me, Brother James, was, one, if you're talking about the 60s, it's been 50 or 60 years, right? So if you're telling me that there was a relationship in the 60s between the Black and the Jewish community, you can't point to nothing 50, 60 years later that you have done, right, in terms of being our allies. Something's wrong with that, brothers and sisters. So I'm just going to say, so generally we talk about during the Black Power movement. During the Black Power movement, we had blacks who have sought greater self-determination and greater autonomy. People like Stokely Carmichael and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and they ousted whites, which included Jews, from their group, because these people had tremendous amount of influence because they gave most of the money, according to what I researched, and they held positions of leadership. So you go from there into the 60s to the 70s. Let me point out a couple things. In July 1979, Andrew Young, you remember him? He was the the United States representative to the UN. He was forced to resign in August 2010 because he met with some members of the Palestinian Liberation Organization and Arab states about the idea of creation of a Palestinian state, which was something that the United Nations was discussing, right? Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, illegally got a transcript of that meeting somehow. They gave it to Menachem Begin, and then through his office, they gave it to Newsweek. So look that up on the internet. It's right there. Let's look at the 1980s, right? In addition to the conflict between blacks and Jews in different parts of the country, places like New York, Crown Heights, in addition to problems we had with Jewish slumlords and store owners in the urban context. Remember when Jesse Jackson ran in 1984? Right? There were Jews that opposed him and threatened him, brothers and sisters. And their chant was ruin, Jesse, ruin. While we were chanting run, Jesse, run. Why were they so much attacking Reverend Jackson? Because he was calling for a balanced policy in the Middle East, right? So this thing goes on and on. We can talk about Israel's support for apartheid in South Africa and giving South Africa nuclear weapons. We can talk about the mistreatment of Ethiopian Jews and the black Hebrews from Chicago that moved to Israel. We can even talk about one of the chief rabbis in Israel who called black people monkeys in March 2018. But see, beyond that, brothers and sisters, think about policy. In 2016, the Movement for Black Lives issued a policy position that called for an end to U.S. government expenditures for military and U.S. aid to the state of Israel. What's my point? My point, brothers and sisters, is this. They have an agenda, right? They have things that they think are important to them. They have positions that they take based on those issues, right? And they stick to those positions. Now, let me get to this one, because I think we really forgot about this one, Brother James. I'm not even going to talk about whites. I'm going to talk about Jewish involvement in the slave trades. I'm not even going to talk about that for now. But do you remember the 1978 Baki decision? That definitely weakened and basically killed affirmative action. Right? Don't you know that Jewish groups, the ADL, the American Jewish Committee, and all of those groups were on the side of Baki? And do you know what one of their leaders said at the time? He said, well, he don't see a problem with black folks. Imagine that, brothers and sisters. And then, since the Baki decision was supposed to go about quote-unquote quotas, this same gentleman, one of the leaders of the ADL at the time, we're talking about around 1978, said that he could not see how you could have a policy like affirmative action where race did not become the predominant factor. What is my point? My point is, brothers and sisters, they press their agenda and they want us to fall in with their agenda. Don't we have the right to press our own agenda? That doesn't make us anti-Semitic. That doesn't make us anti-Jewish. It means we are an enlightened people now that are coming to understand what our own interests are. And we have the right and the responsibility to act in our own interests. That's just the way of the world. Mm-hmm. So we cannot bow down and kowtow to people. We got to be free, justified, and equal. And like you said earlier, Brother James, we can't be afraid.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And again, brother, I would just say, this is just the time to manifest. Time to manifest. What side are you on? And again, I'm waiting to hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as I hope we all are, because that's where clarity will come from. not only clarity, but to your point, brother, when there's an attack, we got to stand and oppose those who are attacking us, and that's why I'm so when you came up with the show, you said unapologetically pro Farrakhan. That right there tells you where this program, the stance of this program, because there's no stronger preacher for black people, or I won't even say black people, for humanity than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There's no stronger preacher against injustice than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Of course, he stands definitely for the uplift of his people, the black man and woman of America, against any force that will come to destroy it. But in doing that, he's uplifting all of humanity. And there are forces that are controlling every institution, not only in this country, but in the world. It's not just America that this power is being exerted. It's throughout the whole world. And that's why we see what's going on with the wars and everything, because that's where we lean, and that's where the minister is fighting against. So to your point, brother, it was unfortunate. It was sad. It actually saddening that kind of a meeting was held. I pray Allah, man, maybe Minister Brother Benjamin will be at Savior's Day, inshallah, and we can probably get him on the show in the future to kind of give clarity to why that meeting was held. But of course, again, I pray that when the call is made, that all of those brothers and sisters in Israel is willing, is able to stand up and resist the devil, so that he will flee from them. That's my prayer, friend.
I remember the minister saying once, I forget who he was referring to, but he was referring to a black businessman that had done so much good for our people. Mm-hmm. And he talked about these members of the Jewish community backing this man all the way down. Because you remember the power products, the economic program, the minister tried to get launched in the 80s.
They made the money out of the bank, man.
Oh, that's right. And we got money, and we got a $5 million loan, $6 million loan for Colonel Gaddafi.
Yeah.
And the minister took that money to a black bank, and the man at the bank called him and asked him to come take the money out. But the minister said this businessman, he didn't stand up when it was time to stand up.
Yeah.
So now they backed him all the way down. I'm saying this, brothers and sisters, look, if you know the minister to be an upright, righteous, and I'm going to use that term, man, stand up. And don't let nobody get you to thinking or get you to wondering about him. This man has been teaching for longer than I've been alive. In the 62 years, I'm 62 years old. So at what point now? So we should not take the enemy side over a man that's been fighting for us.
Exactly.
We should not. We got to throw off that fear.
He has receipts of him fighting for us.
Brother, all the time. And like you said,
all the time.
I mean, not to mention, I'm going to try to get this in real quick because I know we're coming to the top of the hour. Brothers and sisters, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is spending listen to what I'm saying, $100 million to go after the members of the squad. And those are black. Did you hear me? Those are black and Latino lawmakers in Congress that are trying to make a difference. They are spending $100 million to get rid of them. Why do you think that is? They don't like the policy. And that's a corruption, in my view, of American democracy, because you got a small group determining literally the outcome of elections. For brothers and sisters, look, this is Straight Words. We're on WBON 1690. Stay tuned and come on back with us after this break, okay? Peace. Come on back now.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WBON, Berwyn, Chicago.